the Warriors and Grizzlies with the whole fouls and stuff like that so far.
Yeah, the NBA's gotten soft. So like what they call hard fouls, I wouldn't necessarily consider them hard fouls. It's a little touchy feely when it comes to fouls. But with your star player gone from the last game, that was the difference in the game.
Mm. Like no doubt for that one. I think that like you said, like I think the NBA playoffs is kind of wishy washy. I feel like before, like the fair calling, like even when I first started watching basketball, like for example, like for LeBron, I feel like yeah, he's one of the bigger dudes in the league, so like people have to do harder fouls on him in order to get him to stop because he's just gonna keep going, like go through the motion and animation. So like yeah, I feel like the league is kind of soft nowadays. Like I feel like even back when I used to watch, like I remember like watching like the end of the Spurs dynasty little run that they had, a little bit of the Pistons, the Mavericks were good, and then like the Heat. Like when I first started watching, like those are the main teams I remember in the playoffs, and like that style of basketball, of course, wasn't like the Bad Boys and like the Bulls era, the Jordan era, but like I feel like that was like a different kind of basketball. Like nowadays, James Harden, for example, like it's a craft to get fouled. Like that's the goal. Instead of like trying to fight through stuff, like the crowd is just to get uh get fouled.
The free throw is a part of the game, which that's never going to change. It's just when players get injured, I think that changes a lot. And there's only so many LeBrons. Like when Shaq used to play, you can call a foul every time down the court. Like everybody fouled Shaq. But what you
You
gonna
have
do?
to.
Like he's right. He's 300 pounds. Like you can't stop him. You got to give the people a chance. So and the way the game is played now, everything's on the perimeter. You know, it's what it is.
Yeah.
But I think
And like
do I think they
mm,
blow it out of proportion? And it's not my team, so I don't think so. If it was my team, I'd probably be standing on my soapbox, mad.
but like funny like I said, like I'll say looking in this year, uh didn't really root for a team because I feel like right now currently Portland's my team. Damian Lillard's one of my favorite players right now. Of course, still think LeBron's like the best, but as of right now, like the games that are, I didn't like the Lakers roster. I think that was boring. I knew they were too old, all this stuff like that. So I was like, I'm gonna go find someone else to watch. But like for the playoffs, I think like I hope it's not true, but I feel like it is true. Watching some of like the commentators and stuff like talk recently, it was like, oh, ever since the Nets got eliminated, teams have been calling the playoff games for the Warriors have been really, really ticky tacky ever since then. As far as like, oh, now the league seems to now protect the Warriors to try to make them get to the playoffs because like that's their selling point. Like, remember when we had Braun versus the Warriors for like those whatever years in a row? Like that was the whole league selling point. Now that the Nets are out, like everyone's like, oh, we don't have that number one dude other than like Giannis and Curry. So like
Mm-hmm.
now the league's gonna try to make sure those teams make it like extra because they don't have like the same thing to do every like with the playoffs. They don't have like the commercial set up for like Braun and Curry making it to the finals or KD and make it to the finals. It's like oh, like KD and the Nets got eliminated, so we can't run any of those commercials no more. And like all that
All
stuff
your
like
big
that.
name people are gone.
And like the marketing, I feel like that's something that's really. I feel like it's. I don't like it as a fan of sports, but it's true as fan of like the brand of the NBA. Like you can't just they're not making these playoff commercials like like as they're going on, as the teams get eliminated, as they're going, like they're like, okay, before the playoff starts, like top 8 teams, like we'll put you guys in like in our graphic, but like our Curry, our KDs are gonna be at the top. Now that they're gone, it's like we get to make them the top, and it's like, nah, we're just gonna wait for Curry to come back or wait for Giannis's team to snap back to it instead of like I feel like they should give other people a chance to have that spotlight.
They do.
But
Like one of my guys on our team, I thought that I like is the Heat. So Jimmy Butler's in the commercial. So he's our right now he's our marketable player. So I still see his commercials on. But Dallas and Phoenix, I don't see any Luca. I don't really see any Luca commercials. Chris Paul. Chris Paul is always on TV. Um,
Yeah.
Milwaukee and Boston. Boston doesn't have any marketable players right now. Milwaukee has Giannis. You know, you see, like you say, you see a Giannis commercial, and then you got Steph for Golden State. Memphis has a marketable player, but they haven't started to market him yet. So that's pretty much it. Like you said, so once KD and the LeBrons, once they're gone, you're right. I mean, it could be. It's all entertainment. We at the end of the day, we have to remember it's entertainment.
Yeah. Like I thought the league was gonna be like selfishly, like being a LeBron fan, I was like, oh, the league's gonna as soon as he retires, everyone's gonna be like, same thing I think with Brady. Like as soon as Brady retires, people are gonna realize that that dude was way better than people gave him credit for. Like I feel like the disrespect for both of those dudes is crazy. So it's like at this point I was like, oh, like once like LeBron and them leave, who's gonna be the number one? Like because it's like it's KD, but then it's like, KD's not really like that number one fully, because I feel like he has some times where people seem to come up and like challenge that fact and stuff like that. So like we'll see how it goes with the marketing for the teams and stuff like that. I hope for more. Like I feel like that'd be kind of cool. There's some, like I said, there's some young dudes in the league now that are coming up. They're like pretty nice and like personality wise, like great for media. Like that one dude from Minnesota, Anthony Edwards. Like he's
Yeah,
a
I like
young
him.
dude. He's funny. Like his media presence is pretty fun. Like, and then like he's like that Jimmy Butler type of dude where like I feel like you say something wrong to him, he's gonna say something back like on the spot. Like no
Mm-hmm.
hiding, no internet stuff. Like I'll say it to you right here on the court, and I think that's kind of cool. So yeah,
Yeah, they have some. It's that time. Like it's always like a change. So you had like the Michael Jordan there, and then you had Kobe, and then it went to LeBron, and then once LeBron leaves, you kind of have KD, but KD's on the back half too. Steps on the back half. So now it's really like the younger guys, the Lucas, my man here in Memphis. Like you have some young guys, but who's gonna take the reign and be like
yeah.
the next,
Thing.
on that next level. Like I like Ja. Like
Mm-hmm.
I really like Ja. Like he's
Just
marketable. I don't know if he can maintain that style of play. He does.
yeah, like just like anybody, like you hope. I would hope just make sure that he does. Because all the comparisons that I've seen like recently, especially after his rookie year, is like, oh, like he's the next D Rose, and like I feel like that was such a compliment, but yet such a diss. Because like as soon as I thought about that, I'm like, yeah, like dude's exciting, but like if he comes down from one of these crazy dunks where he jumps over some dude and that knee gives out a little bit, like it's a different game. Like he has to now
Right.
start playing, and like his 3-point shot right now is not the best, but like he makes it work. But like I hope that I would like to see him be one of the faces. Like you said, his game is entertaining, it's fun to watch, personality.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like you got Luca, I think is like a funny person. A lot of the European dudes are kind of cool. Like watching Luca, he looks funny to me because he doesn't look like he's supposed to be out there. Like
Right.
he just drops
I
40 like out of
moving in
shapely.
slow motion.
Yes. Like he did a running floater the other day, and the announcer was like, yeah, they just let Luka walk down the court and shoot it. And I was like, yeah, they looked like no one was even close to him. He wasn't moving fast, but
I
same thing like with Tom Brady. Like he's not the most athletic quarterback or the best gifted, but like dude is just doing it, like going down the court like it's nothing. So I think that's kind of funny.
I know.
Hmm?
My thing was frozen for a second. I was gonna say Luka's secret is he's really a 400-pound guy playing basketball. Like you
Yeah,
can look at Luka's body. The minute he stops playing basketball, he's gonna be a 400-pound fat guy.
yeah,
So
like Charles
it's
Barkley.
like Charles Barkley, right? Because he don't move fast. He's just kind of he knows how to get around the court. He knows how to get this spot. He's gonna do it very slowly. But
Mhm.
dudes are like bouncing off of him because he just has that, that inner fat guy. So you like,
Yeah.
oh, he ain't that big, and then they run up on him, and then he's like, oh, grown man,
And
back
then
off.
like
He
the
gets the shot off.
athleticism of him too. Like I think that's funny. Every time I see him dunk, I'm like, you can do that, like, because like you said, like he not running to the basket, like he's just walking, and then he just elevates, and it's like, oh, like I didn't think you could do that one.
Yeah,
Like I've seen that one a few times. It's kind of funny. Like he's just a
him and
person.
the
He's an
Joker the
NBA
same.
player. I don't think he could dunk. Like I just didn't think he would dunk.
Yeah,
And then like
yeah.
post
Joker's like that too. Another European guy.
Joker's fun to watch too because he's really like he really don't look like he's like they don't look like they're trying. And I hear the interviews when they first came over, like, oh yeah, like this is way easier than it is in the Euro League and stuff like that. Because I'm like, yeah, like they play a different style of basketball, but like these dudes looks over here that they come over here like they always come in like out of shape because they're like, I don't have to really work like I would over there. Like this is I could just go through the motions and get 40 a game, drop 30 rebounds. So I think it's funny these like some of the Euro
Right.
playing dudes are playing like, but yeah, I mean like I
But
think the league's in a better position now than I feel like it was a few years ago. Uh, hopefully, like we'll see if like
it's
if
not.
Zion comes back, like he could be interesting.
Yeah, I really want him to come back, but he has to lose weight. Just think, him and Ja used to play on the same AAU team.
Yeah,
Like coming
like
up,
that's
like I can imagine, like what you gonna do? Like you got one guy who can, do all this other stuff, and then you got this other guy who looks like he should be a tight end, and he's coming
mhm.
down the court jumping through the air, like Vince Carter jumping. So
Yeah,
it's
like
crazy.
I'm real. Because even like a few years ago, like it's not even that long ago, Zion was in high school. Like I said, he went one and done in at Duke. Like I remember watching like his clips from high school. I was like, yeah, it's this guy looks like a monster compared to everyone else, but like looking who he's playing against, he's playing against like this 5'2" like junior in high school. Like dude was not prepared to like guard an NBA caliber player at the time. But like the little portion he was in the league that one year, like he was doing the same things he was doing at Duke, like
Yeah,
snatching the ball, getting rebounds, dunking over like grown men. It's like up, like he has the ability. Like I said, if he could lose some weight, I think he needs to lose some weight, but that's just for him
he
to continue to
needs to
jump like he
maintain.
does. Yeah.
I think he needs to go to a team who is gonna help him take care of his body. Because not no disrespect for whoever they have out there in New Orleans, but like if he went to somewhere like San Antonio,
Yeah.
Miami, um, like some organizations are like better for dealing
Mhm.
with that kind of stuff because he needs to take care of his body. I mean, he's still a kid, but
Right.
again, he's like Luca. If he stops playing like the commercial he shot, they were like, "Whoa, look like this dude's been doing nothing but eating." But he's a big kid from South Carolina, so
Right.
yeah, I need him back because he's really exciting, especially
And
for
like
the
that's
NBA.
like you said, like this it's all entertainment at the end of the day. And so it's like just like for football, like I feel like the last 2 years for me have been like the best 2 years of football that I've watched in a long time. As far as like competitiveness, I feel like throughout the league. Like, cause I feel like for like the first time like ever, the Browns were not a gimme win. So
I'm not sure. I know a lot of stuff was here and somebody was supposed to come get it, but who I cannot tell you. They moved everything. You're welcome. Mm-hmm.
but oof.
I should have locked my office.
Mm. But
Matter of fact, let me lock it before somebody else comes barging in here.
it's funny.
Yeah, but that's true. We'll see. So now we still got what 4 games left.
Yeah.
So who do you think is going to come out of Golden State and Memphis side?
I think it has to be the Warriors. Uh, I just don't. I just don't trust. Like even though Memphis, like they were like what 20-2 without John Morant, like beforehand. I think like the playoffs are a different brand of basketball. Uh, and I would say that I think the Warriors purely for the fact of Draymond Green, which is kind of funny to say because I used to always think that he was like I never understood his point when he used to always try to claim himself as one of the big three for the Warriors. But like what he does for that team, like like he's mandatory for the Warriors style of basketball.
He's the glue guy.
Yeah, like he's
Like
like that Rodman.
he does a lot of little stuff.
Like you said, like I've been thinking about that for a while. It's like for people who can't make like I think every NBA player should be a requirement that you can make free throws. I feel like that's like the one thing that I feel like it's a requirement you have to do like no matter what. Like if you can't make a free throw, you can't be an NBA. Like I feel like to me that is a requirement, but like it's not. So like he does the things that like does not like he can make free throws, but like he does those things that like other people be like, oh yeah, like we'll just get a specialist for that, and it's like no, you 7-foot center should just get a rebound, not a rebound specialist. But like he does all those like he does like dirty work behind closed doors, the screens, the take the charges, like all the things that are part of the game that like I feel like you just hear about like, oh, like, yeah, this dude's really good at shooting, but like he doesn't go inside and play defense at all. Like Luka, for example, like I've been watching the games, like Luka doesn't play defense at all. Like
No.
he doesn't play like he don't they run a zone purely to keep him fresh on defense in the playoffs. But at the same time, like this is not really doing nothing on defense. Like it's 4 against 5 every time. Yet like I don't know, like because even the games we talked about, it's like oh yeah, like the Mavericks are a really good defensive team under Jason Kidd, but Luka needs to do his job. And so like I was hearing this, and like, but he doesn't play defense. And I watched like the last few games, and like, oh yeah, you're guarding like a nobody. Yet they're still like open for every shot. Like you gotta. I feel like on defense and Buddy sitting in the corner, you just stand next to Buddy in the corner, like okay, don't pass the ball to him. I'm gonna just make sure he doesn't run like baseline, but like I'm guarding this guy for a reason because I'm trying to save energy for offense. But yet, like, this dude just going baseline behind you, getting a free layup, and it's like, as Luka, you're hurting yourself because now you have to go back there and get another two that you just lost to the two that you just got. Like,
right,
you're forever going to be tired if you don't play defense. So like,
facts. So if we got Golden State winning, so since we talk about Dallas and Phoenix, so and they're 2-2 right now.
they're 2-2.
Yeah, that's a interesting series. Like I want to say Phoenix. Um, I didn't think Dallas would play the right way in order for them to win. In order for them to win, Luka can't dribble the ball a lot. Like he has to pass the ball, score like maybe 25 points, get 15 assists, 5 or 6 rebounds. They did that the last 2 games, they won. So the next game is in Phoenix. We'll see. Whoever made the adjustment. But if I had to pick, I'm gonna go with the home team just because, teams play better at home. So this next game I'll give to Phoenix. And then in the series, I'll probably go with Phoenix. Yeah. Although Dallas could win.
Like you said, like Dallas, I think Phoenix, because I feel like Phoenix has multiple ways that they can win. I think Dallas has to play a certain, like you said, a certain brand of basketball for them to win. Because, like you said, the first 2 games, Luka dropped like 40 in each, but yet they went down 0-2. And it's like, no one on the Suns could stop Luka for sure. Like, not a question, but the fact that, like, that was it. Like, they weren't doing nothing really else. But the last 2 games, like, Luka's getting everybody involved, stuff like that. Like, it's a different team, and the Suns are struggling with that. Like, they got defensive people like this. The thing that's about the Mavericks is funny. Like, the Mavericks, everyone but Luka is really defensively oriented. Like, everyone else is a corner. It's like a 3-point, like 3-and-D dude other than Luka out there. So, like, everyone else is doing their job. They're just, like, Luka's just out there, like, kind of, like, messing it up for him. But, like, if he steps up, like, I think the Suns have the advantage. But I can see the Mavs. I see the Mavs winning this next one, but then like that's it. Like I feel like after the next one, they're like, all right, like no more Luka ball, like or the teams around like Luka's team around him is just gonna cool off because like they had like what 43s last game, like some crazy numbers. So like I don't think they're the Warriors. Like they could do that every game, but
Right.
like 2 games in a row, they've been
That's fact.
running an offense that works for the team.
Yep. But like I said, if see if that translate when they go back to Phoenix, and then jump over to the other side tonight. It's Miami and Philly. Similar to me. Philly got Joel and Embiid back. This dude's like a cheat code. So they won the last games. Shots that they weren't making in Miami, they made in Philly. Miami couldn't hit the side of a building. Even though defense was still okay, we just couldn't shoot, or we weren't making the same shots. So same thing going back to Miami. Philadelphia's going to get down there. James Harden's going to go to the strip club. He's going to be off his game a little bit. Miami will hit the rest of their shots because they're back home. Probably go 6 games, maybe 7, but I'm still side with the Heat because even though I'm a Heat fan, like just watching the games, Miami's a better team than Philly. Even though Philly has the best player when he's healthy, because you really can't do anything with Joel. This dude is like shooting fadeaways at 7 foot. I'm kind of confused, like, but it worked for him.
Like he's like the full package right now. Like you said, fadeaways could like hit a 3, like an inbound moving 3. Like it's kind of stupid. You know, being 7 foot, how you supposed to contest that when dude's fading away from like the arc? It's like weird. Like it's kind of confusing. But like you said, like him being back, I do not trust James Harden. Sadly, James Harden in the playoffs, I just don't. I don't think he's like he doesn't have it. Like this, it sucks, but like he just doesn't. He doesn't have that it factor. There's another dude on the Sixers, like the rookies they have, like number 0. He's a rookie, but I think he's like I'll put him before James. Like I have him shoot before James Harden shoot right now. Like he's been consistent defense. He's like weirdly like he's not weirdly athletic, but like he's athletic, hustles like fresh, like a fresh new, a good compliment to Joel Embiid. Like same thing, like nothing like a good big old bruiser who could do whatever, and like a quick dude run around. Like it's a really interesting combination that they have.
Yeah, he's fast, and then when he's coming downhill, reminds me a lot of Ja. Like as far as when he gets the ball, like it's almost like park basketball. Get it? You coming 100 miles an hour at somebody, he's going by you. Like you can't stay in front of him. He's going to the basket.
And I think he's smart too. I said I think they're smart. I said like him coming 1,000 miles per hour, and like they got shooters around him, like dishing, or like you said, like park basketball. He's just gonna come and like, I think I could jump higher than that guy right now. I'm gonna try it right now, and he's gonna go 1,000,000 miles per hour, jump as high as he can, and then see what happens. And the way the league is calling the playoffs right now, like you get fouled every time you hit the floor. So if he comes in 1,000 miles per hour,
he's a young guy too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Max is a good player. Max is a good player, but like I said, the X factor is James Harden. I don't trust him. He can get hot. He got hot the last game, and help Philadelphia get that win. But again, I don't. He had scored 4 points in the fourth quarter the last 3 games. So, you know, is he back or is he just going to go back to the same dude?
I mean, that's the question.
In Miami are nice, so
I don't think.
Yeah, he'll go.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like he's never had it in the playoffs. Like, there's never been a series in the playoffs where like they needed him and he showed up.
Ever, even if
like,
you think back to
like you said, last game when he dropped, like helped him get those games, like all the 3 points he made, they were up 5, and then they were up 8. And they're up 11, like it wasn't like reverse, or he was like took the lead down to 5 or took the lead down
Right.
like it was like going up instead of like reverse. So it's like if they missed, that you still had Embiid who could just, all right, we need a bucket. We're gonna give it to him
Right.
on this moment. Everyone's gonna freak out, foul him, and like you said, he's one of those bigger dudes who can do it all. Like he can make a free throw. So
Right. So you're a front runner.
mm,
And then the last series is 2-2 now is Boston and Milwaukee. It's like a heavyweight fight at this point. You know, Boston
mm,
is a bunch of dudes, athletic, you know, Jalen Brown. Then you got Milwaukee and Greek Freak. So now Milwaukee's um, missing a player, like one of their starters. So
yeah, Chris
Middleton.
Middleton.
Yeah, so they're still holding it down, but to me, you could flip a coin in this series, like last night's game. You could flip a coin. You never know
Mm.
which way this is gonna go. The home teams are winning. I mean, the road teams are winning. Anybody's ball game. They're just gonna beat each other up. I think it'll go 7 games, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think I thought with the absence of Chris Middleton that this series would be kind of leaning towards the Celtics, but that was clearly a fact because I thought they swept the Nets, and I thought the Nets were like KD and Kyrie played all 4 games and they get swept by the Nets. So I was like, like Celtics could be that team, but then like last game, Jason Tatum, like he's a player that like I really like, but he's really kind of
Mm-hmm.
inconsistent too. Like some days he'll give you like 32, 10, and 5. But then last game they had like Al Horford have to carry that, which is kind of
Yeah, let
weird.
me trying to find the stats from the last game to see what they gave
And the
us.
Celtics were Milwaukee was up. Chris Middleton or Al Horford got posterized, and then went on like a 25-year-old, like 25 like run after that. So
The crazy part about these teams, I'm looking at it now. Their record is identical, 51-31
mm,
right now, which that makes a lot of sense.
why is 2-2 right now?
Yeah, it's 2-2, same record, like even without Middleton. Um, they did pretty good. So again, that's a toss up to me. I don't know why
Yeah,
my stats aren't coming up, but
like I would
make
say
some
that.
interesting.
Go ahead.
Go. Now I was just saying
Uh,
it's gonna make for an interesting series with
yeah,
anybody ball game.
but there's some good series. It's like this is I think this playoff run is more entertaining than like the last few because you have like a number one seed losing. You only have like
Mm-hmm.
one. I think there's only one or two like I think there's only one sweep so far in the playoffs. Like usually like the number one seeds will sweep the
Yeah,
eighth, and then they just go out to the finals. So this year, like everyone has to battle their way through, and I think that's good.
yeah. Everything's tied. I mean, everything's 2-2 except for Golden State Memphis. And again, even with that last game, I think if Ja was healthy and played, that game would be 2-2.
Yeah,
Because Memphis put up a fight to not have their best player. Like you said, they were 20-2 or something when he didn't play during the season. So Golden State just made veteran plays down the stretch, pulled the game out.
yeah. And Warriors didn't have Steve Kerr, which is kind of funny. Uh, they said that the Mike Brown's playoff style was a little different. His coaching style was a little
Mm-hmm.
different, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't know why." They feel like he said that's why they almost lost, but I think that was just them kind of messing around. Like it's a like entertaining series, even without John Morant. Like I said, like that was a good. Like I was expecting like not a blowout, but like I was expecting like the Warriors to like have no competition with that out their jaw. Because I thought like, oh, playoff basketball is different from regular season basketball. You don't have your
Mm-hmm.
dude. Like how you gonna ball? But like they're doing a great job. Uh, like you said, all around the league, the playoffs like Interesting. Like you could watch any game and like other than like the Warriors, I feel like other than like the Warriors one, like any basketball game I turn on, I really don't know who's gonna win. Like the first
Right.
half and the second half are always two different halves for like the playoffs so far. Like I've seen almost everybody turn it on in the second half and it's like, well, I thought this game was over and it's not. So
Yeah. My
I do
favorite
enjoy
thing to
that.
say is, my favorite thing to say is in any of these games, um, if I just turn on the last 5 minutes, that's the whole game because it's probably going to be a close game. If somebody's up, they're not up by a lot. If they
Mhm.
are, the other team is coming back. So the last 5 minutes is going to decide the game. And it's pretty much happened every game in the playoffs. Like there's very few games where there's been like blowouts. So it's
And then
coming
also
down to
like
the
I
wire
was
now.
listening to something else someone said the other day, and I think it's kind of true. Like 10 years ago, 5 years ago, you were up 12 in the fourth quarter. That's game over. Like
Mm-hmm.
no doubt about it. Nowadays, like you could be up 12 with 5 minutes left, and you could be down 12 with 2 minutes left, like in a blink of an eye.
That's 4 shots
Easy and like
because everybody shoots threes. That's shots.
every starting lineup has at least two dudes who like if you leave open, you messed up. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not just the Warriors who could do it. Like any team, like you can't just leave him open though. Like
Um,
everyone can shoot.
like I said, I'm a Heat fan, and we had the best 3-point shooting team by percentage this year in the NBA. They shot 38%. But
Yeah.
we got a bunch of dudes who can shoot. Like that's why we
Mhm.
lost. Like you win, you live by the three, you die by the three. Like
Yeah.
that that's the saying now. Because if you're not making your shots, you are going to lose. And if you're making them, like this team shooting like 43 pointers a game or something like some crazy number. I'm like,
Mhm.
all you gotta do is hit. If you hit half, you blowing somebody out. But again, league average is like 30 something percent. So okay, that means I'm gonna hit. If I hit 20, great game.
Mhm.
That's what 60 points.
Easy.
Then you add in, you go into the free throw line, and it's like that's
True.
basketball.
And then with
Basketball.
the foul trouble people are going into, like I've seen like strategically first quarter, we'll just attack this guy. Like we're gonna attack him, get into foul trouble. The league's gonna call it. He comes out the game, and now we have like this own little. Now we have a different matchup that we could work with for at least 5 minutes now because I was watching the Suns and Mavericks. Like Luka got a technical, like the first quarter. Chris Paul got two fouls and Luka got two fouls, and they were both sitting. And I was like, well, this game is now interesting. Like the battle of the backups because Chris Paul and Luka were both out. Devin Booker was still dealing with hamstring, so like even though he was like out there, like it's a different like you just made a different game all of a sudden because
Mm-hmm.
they both in foul trouble, both coaches pulled them out, so it's like now we gotta ride with the backups, and this is like I said, the game's been interesting. Like you can't tell, like I said, to the fourth quarter who's gonna win, and then even then, like you gotta wait till the last 5 minutes because you never know. Like
You never know.
Mavericks made like they were like 3 away from like tying like the Warriors record, and I'm like, that team is not someone that I'm like, yeah, we got to worry about defending a three, but like at any given day, anybody in the league can make it make that shot.
Right.
They said like it's different
That's
nowadays.
a
You don't
fact.
have to get 6 points. You don't have to make 6 shots. You get 12 points no more. Like you could skip that like with the quickness and you don't got to worry about like, oh, go to the elbow, get that like few elbow shots in a row. Like I feel like those are harder to make than you just walking down the court, hit a three. All right, defense, like less
Other
effort.
team comes down, shoots a quick ball, rebound, you run down. And what's that guy's name? I like it. I like when he announces. I think Mike Breen or whatever his name is. He does a lot of Warriors game. Bang.
Oh yeah.
That's my man. Because that means somebody that came down and hit a three, and then I actually think I was in and out, but I put my headphones on when I was watching the Golden State game the other day because I was like, they have the mic by the rim. So when
Hmm.
they hit a shot, you can hear it. So
Yeah.
I promise you, they had the mic turned up louder on Golden State's baskets than Memphis because Curry came down and you can hear there was like bang. I was like, dang, 3-pointer. I wasn't even watching the game. I just listened. Memphis would come down and they would hit a 3. I didn't even hear it. They would just go, and then the Memphis hit a 3. And I was like, how come I don't hear theirs going through, with that same, crispiness on the mic? So I'm thinking they have a mic up there and they're like, all right, Golden State, we're really pushing them. We're going to turn theirs up. So every time they do something, it, it hits your senses a little bit different because Memphis was hitting shots too. And I promise you, you couldn't hear it. It wasn't the same. I was like, okay, so they're not turning their mic up. It might not seem like a lot, but for a TV person sitting there watching and you're listening, you getting all these emotions and feelings. I was like, it's a little slick move that they're doing for TV. It's cool though.
I think it's been like that for kind of a minute. I feel like because like one of a thing that's been going around, like you hear, like if you ever watching a basketball game and like you said, you hear buddy goes like you hear is like you hear bang and then ball is up by how many points? You're just like my team just lost because like it's just like the momentum that either like the broadcast brings to the arena. You could tell that your team is defeated after like you hearing a shot or like you hearing like a bang and there it goes and it's like oh man, like this is gonna be a long day for us, like
right,
especially like with Warriors games, like you have Curry and Clay and all them, like at any moment, doesn't matter how good the defense is, like they're just gonna throw it up and it goes in, you just like dude, like what is he doing? Like I like watching like the Warriors play too because I feel like it's fascinating because like you said, it's like people playing defense. Like it's not like they're like getting open shots every time. There's a dude head in his face, like dude's closing out, running his hardest to close out as fast as he possibly can to get there, and he just makes it over you. And you just like I could have just stood there and watched him make the shot if I was gonna.
Right.
So
it's the way.
Yeah.
So what else we got going on out here in the world? What's up with this Roe v. Wade thing, or was it abortion rights?
Yeah, I think that's pretty interesting. So
what's the backstory? Like I know Roe versus Wade is I don't know what year that ruling went out, but it essentially gave women the right to have abortions without worrying about kickback or being persecuted. So now they want to reverse it.
Yeah.
So like it doesn't make sense. So I'll say this: if women have the right to do whatever they want to do with the body, period. Like that's my opinion. Like there's nothing, you can't legislate that. I think if you do, you have consequences because if the government says, okay, now you can't have abortions or we're gonna outlaw it, guess what? People still gonna do it. They're just gonna do it under, behind closed doors, under the table. So it's not gonna be safe. People gonna put themselves in jeopardy. They'll go to other countries, like they're gonna do a bunch of stuff to still do that. So I don't get the point of reversing that. Like who are we trying to appease at this point? When like we're in the 21st century, like people have the right to do whatever they want to do. I mean, I get like the limits, you can't be a week from having a baby and then go, you know what? I don't want to do this no more. Like I mean, that's kind of there's a line right there. It's a fine line, where I would say, how about you just have it and give it up for adoption? Like, let's not take it out at that point. But everything else, I'm a little skeptical. I don't understand why. Put it that way.
And then I was reading some stuff too. Is like you said about that, like Roe versus Wade made options available for women to have those here, like or like accessible like nationwide, so they don't have to because like you hear like this stigma like, oh, they're just gonna go to Mexico or like somewhere like that and do it and then come back. Or like I heard stories of like back in the day, people they wanted a place to for women to have like safe abortions because like they were just doing them themselves. Like
Mm-hmm.
women like you said like, oh, I don't want to go to like a bathroom and see someone like having an abortion in the bathroom. You're like, whoa, what the heck? Like how is that a thing? But like same thing with like I remember like in high school like having like the female products in the women's restroom. Like that was the thing where like, oh, we don't want to have that in the women's restroom. And like as a dude, like doesn't I'm not that doesn't bother me at all. Like, yeah, why can't they have that stuff in the women's restroom? Like where else they supposed to put it? Like I don't know, like you just gotta because I remember like people like, oh, you just have to keep it in your backpack. And then like I don't know how that whole situation works, but I'm like, if I need it, I gotta like, make sure that I have my backpack on me too. Like I can't just have it in the bathroom where it's supposed to be. Like I don't know, like it just seems kind of like I said, who are they trying to who is this for? Like who's winning? Who's wanting this? And I don't really
This
understand
is
it.
my point. And that Roe versus Wade happened back January 22, 1973. So you talk about something that's been in place 48 years.
Yeah,
So, and then um, again, I'm trying to figure out who are they trying to appease. Now, I could go with my favorite theory is anytime they throw something out here like that, it sparks conversation, and it's a distraction for something else that is being pushed through some sort of legislation, and they really don't pay attention to this. Everybody pay attention over here because
mm-hmm.
again, I'm in a church group. I can't think of anybody that would really want to reverse this. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know enough about it to say who's trying to reverse it, but it's
Like
kind of
I don't know. Like it seems weird because like and like I always point to the fact that like for me, like if you flip the roles, would I feel some type of way about it? And if it's like so like for example like because I saw this one thing that was pretty funny. Like I saw it on Twitter actually. So it was like, oh, like what if they made what was it? It was like a pretty funny one. He was like, oh, what if they made like the new limit for like abortion stuff like that? Like, oh, that starts at the male ejaculation process. Like that's where we draw the line. Like if you
mm-hmm.
do that, then like you're in the same category as like the women who go through like abortion. And like on Twitter, I saw that, and of course, like Twitter is like all over the place, and it was like, oh, you can't do that. Like how does that make any sense? Blah 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 this and that. And I was like a bunch of guys like kind of like going against that. And it's like, see, like you guys can't be like you guys be like, oh, if they made that a rule, you guys would go up in arms and like be upset. But yet like the same thing is kind of happening like other opposite. And you guys are like, yeah, like they can't do that. Like that's against the rules. And it's like, all right, like where do you draw the line between like fair and like I don't know, like you said, like I don't like what is the reason? Like what do you gain out of it? I don't understand it.
I have no idea. The only thing I think they could be doing is again, you have the people who say, well, don't let the government legislate like things you do. So if somebody came in and said, well, we're going to reverse it because it was a government law and we don't want the government to determine what happens, and then we can leave it up to the states. So then the states get to choose their own policies, which even though Roe versus Wade is out now, I think somewhere like Texas abortions are, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but I think Texas was one of the states where they outlawed abortion, so people would have to go to Louisiana, Oklahoma, bordering states to have it because the state said we're not doing it. We don't believe in it because we're a Christian. We have Christian values, and that's against our values. But again, that state has millions of people, and everybody in that state doesn't believe the same thing. So again, even when you push it back to the states, it's the same thing. So in theory, the government is supposed to protect everybody from those scenarios where even go back to when they said segregation in the South. Why was segregation only in the South when you can go up to New York, New Jersey? Everybody went to the same schools, live in the same neighborhoods, even though they did down south, but it was portrayed a different way. So the federal government had to come in and say, hey, come on, can't do this. This is against the law. So even though your state or whatever saying that, these people still have the right to do what they want to do. So the government's supposed to be there to protect you, in theory. So that's why the whole thing with Roe v. Wade reversing it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
If you don't reverse that, it's a whole lot reversing. I need to start looking at the books.
Yeah. And it's the same part of that, off of that, I know, for example, when Texas did announce that thing, California says we'll pay for those who are trying to get it. They'll pay, California doing something where they'll pay for them to come over here and do it or something like that. There was a little a bill or something they were trying to pass, because pretty much in Texas, you would go, you would get whatever the punishment was. California was just come here, avoid the punishment, and we'll do it for you, with that state versus government balance type of thing. Even though California's not a neighborhood state, I feel like that was still in place as far as like you said, they can't just control everything you do. This state will allow it to just come hang out with us and we'll figure this out for you, type of thing.
Right.
But at the same time, I just think it's so hypocritical. It's so hypocritical, because I feel I see all the time, yeah, America doesn't have a religion, a founded religion, blah blah blah. But yeah, other countries' beliefs, other religions' beliefs, are not allowed to have any hold or saying in court. While yet, other politicians are oh, my belief in God, blah blah blah, this and that, trumps all of these matters that are going on because this is my belief, blah blah blah. But yet, there's no Christianity is not the religion of the United States, quote unquote. But yet, right. They bring it up in court, and I feel how I just don't it's so hypocritical with everything. It's been like that. It's like that for a bunch of different topics, but I just especially in the South, Texas, the Bible Belt, how are those belief systems passed on to these upper elevations of court, but yet when you get to the upper elevations of court, they say oh yeah, Christianity doesn't, it's it's not the home religion of the United States, their rules, values, beliefs can't be enforced upon the country, yet their rules, values, and beliefs are kind of being enforced upon the country. So it's
it's a unwritten law, because there's always this thing that says separation of church and state. That's the point. One of the points of the Constitution and everything is to separate church and state. And the reason they did that in America is because if you go back to Europe, right? So Europe, they had all the kings and queens, and how their system worked. But then you also had the church. So the church ran, all the kings and queens had to basically get approval from the church before they move forward with anything. So you come to America, you're all right, we don't want to be the same, so we're going to separate it. We don't want the church and the state to be together, because then it's a big bully that can just walk around and do. So in theory, it's separated. But at the same time, there's this weird moral thing in U.S. or America where they try to go, oh, well, like you said, it's not a nation. They would like to think it is, but you have Muslims, Catholic, Jew, non-denominational, you can go on, Buddhist, whatever. That's the whole point of America. Says, you can pick any religion you want. It doesn't matter. But it does matter. It's like the court of public opinion. like if I jump out now and say I'm gonna run, and then I say, hey, I'm not a Christian. I'm a American Indian, so I believe something different.
Mm.
They're gonna go, oh, can't trust this guy.
Right.
This guy right here isn't following the same thing, and morally, he
Are different.
may side another way. I would argue them down. I mean, that's the easy argument to poke a hole in because I would say everybody who claims to be a Christian person immediately I can question their morals because they're doing things that are against, quote unquote, what their religion is, but they're actually doing it.
Oh yeah.
So just
I
because
was,
I walk around with a cross on and I do all this stuff and I make appearances, as soon as the door closes and I'm in the room, I'm doing everything the opposite.
oh yeah. Like that was my biggest thing. Is like with because I feel like I always say all the time is like I believe in religion, but then there's man-made religions and changes. For example, like I said, if you're going back to before like America was founded, like the whole like I remember this in like in middle school, and like that thing kind of got me off guard. Like the whole like selling of indulgences to buy your way into heaven, like that was around for like hundreds of years, like hundreds of years. So you're telling me that like there's a few generations of people who believed because the church told them to that they could buy the way into heaven. Yet in that same book it says you cannot buy your way into heaven. So it's like my thing is like how you gonna like have a religion, but then you have this dude tell you something totally different from what's in the book, and then yeah, you're supposed to just like I believe what he said, and it's like now you gotta just mess like water down the religion, change what you wanted for political or uh for political views or political push or leeway in certain areas, and it's like that's cheating. Like you can't do that, and like you said, like you
But you,
can't have like same
but
story, like you
why
can't have
can't
like
you?
a preacher
Why can't
tell
you?
me
Because
something.
that's what. But why can't you? Because that's what they do. This is the one thing one of the proponents. I grew up in the church, right? I had to sit there. I had family members that were preachers and heavily involved in the church. So I would sit there as a kid and I'm watching, right? I watch and I listen. And I hear what you say. You're standing up here in front of everybody and you're saying one thing, right? And then everybody's shaking their heads and clapping and crying and doing whatever they want. And then we leave this building and we go home looking at these people who just said this thing over here. They just said the opposite.
Mhm.
And I'm going, so what you're telling me is everything you just told me was a lie. I just said it, but you're not doing it. So I'm confused. Like I really am. But I was scared. For me, I was afraid because I saw some stuff that made me think one way, right? And then I
Mhm.
saw some other stuff. I followed religion for a minute because again, I didn't know anything else. That's all I knew. Like I used to go to church Wednesdays, Thursdays, twice on Sunday. So that was like at least 4 days a week in the building. Plus, they used to come and do Bible study at the house. So it was a lot. So I sucked all that in. Like I read the Bible back and forth. Like I was there. Like you couldn't tell me otherwise. And then, you know, I looked at other religions, so I could see the similarities. And I appreciated it more, but at the same time, I was like, how come this keeps changing? This is changing. You can't go from, and the Bible contradicts itself 9 times out of 10, because somebody opened the Bible and read a passage and says God says this. And I'm like, he did. But then flip more pages, and he says the exact opposite. So what you're saying is, as a person, it's really up to me to decide what I want to do because the book says I can go either way and I'm right. It's
Mhm.
like you said, it's almost the book itself is hypocritical, has some very good things in it, but it goes either way. And that's our society. That's why politics, just think about Democrats and Republicans, the left and the right. It's the same and it's different. We're doing
Yeah.
the same. We take that same principle and they just dump it on everything. And what it is. So a lot of times, oh, how can they? Like I was having a conversation with somebody one day, and this is what the government is doing, and they say, why would they do that, or how could they do that? I was like, what do you mean? Like they're doing it. Like they show you that they do it. What do you mean? Why would they do it, or why would they do it? They was like, oh no, they wouldn't. I'm like, but they would, and they show you every time the exact same thing. You just choose not to pay attention. And I'll just use the one thing that the government did was, if you remember the Tuskegee experiment, when they gave 600 people that look like me syphilis, right?
Mhm.
And then instead of fixing it, which they could, they gave them a pill, a placebo that said, "Oh, this is going to cure it." In in real life, they were giving them a placebo, pretty much water, so they can sit back and watch what happened to all these 600 people that they knew had something that they can fix, and that is the government. So again, why would the government, who is supposed to be for the people, literally kill 600 people? Just sit there and watch them die in front of them, just watch them, and then we'll say that um, the Nazis were bad because of how they treated the Jews. Okay, well, what's the somebody tell me what's the difference? There is no difference. It's the same thing.
Mhm.
But you know, we're America, religion, we wouldn't do that. Great country, let's go. It's not really the case.
Yeah. Like I said, like it's like two different halves of the same book. Like you wake up every day and like I always get I guess part always like has like how do politicians get voted upon by the people to do something, and then like when I see them like in court and they say something, or like they stand behind like a belief that they have for something, and it's like, but how are you gonna tell me like this is the way it is, this way it has to be, blah 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 blah, but yet you could change it, but you don't, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
you say these are the issues, you have the source, like so you have the solution to the issues, but yet you don't fix the issues. Like that's always been something that has kind of helped with me. And then like recently too is like I feel like the George Floyd thing is something that I feel like I always thought about too. This is like, so you're telling me that like a dude was killed, and then yet so much has had like a dude was killed, and then that sparked the Kenosha shootings from that one dude who became like a celebrity afterward, and it's like all these things stemmed from like a death of a dude, but yet like there's a side that was so strongly on this side that they're like it kind of ignoring all different types of facts. Where like whether it was real or not, they're just like, oh, this, and like this, and then like you have people like every day like, oh, like one thing's like, and then another thing I saw the other day that kind of made me like question was like, I talked about this, I thought about this kind of hard. It was like the other day, a bunch of Christians on a plane were singing like church songs, and like up in like like up in the plane just started randomly like no form of like the other passengers had no idea that they were going to do this. Like a secret band just started booming, just started playing, like singing their songs and music and stuff like that. In that same breath, like if any other religion would do that on a plane, they probably shoot that plane down. Like without a shadow of a doubt, if that video got out, it's like, oh, like Muslims were praying on a plane, they would just shoot the plane out the sky, no questions asked. Like, and then like the same thing, like so I was like, I believe myself to be, uh, let's see this. I say that I'm religious, but I don't believe in man-made. I don't believe in some religions, like how like how man has altered religion. Like, so I believe, like you said, at the end of the day, there's a God, and like he did some stuff here. He may have made a book, he may have not made a book, but like I believe at the end of the day, there's one up there. Like there's a dude who's special, who made all this stuff like happen. But at the same time, like you said, like hundreds of years ago, like there's a pope who was like, you know what, we need some money in the church. So I will sell to the people who believe that there's a God that reads this book that they can buy themselves into heaven. And it's like you could bypass all the wrong and bad stuff that you did, and you could buy yourself into heaven. Like in the history, like in the history, like books, I remember reading that and being like, like you're telling me, like you said, like for hundreds of years, like there's this dude, there's a religion that, like yeah, like this is how we could do it. This is how you could do it. Just follow the rules, you would get to go. And people was lining up to do that like almost on the daily. So I'm like, damn, that sucks. Like, I don't believe that's not how it was supposed to go. Like, I don't believe that's how it's supposed to go. But yeah, other ideas, other things, other like signs that I feel like I felt or seen myself. I'm like, oh, like I saw that or thought about that, and like, boom, that like appeared or I saw it in a different day. I'm like, oh, like that's kind of some pretty good proof that I can see for myself that like I didn't have to have some dude tell me that this happened because of this. Like just me happening seeing him like, oh, like that reminds me of something. Like, is that what it is? Maybe, maybe not. But like that was me coming to my own accord off of that, not some dude in the church and like, you see that star? That star is there because blah 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 blah. And it's like, like it could be, but you know, also couldn't be. So I just think it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, all churches to me revolve around one thing:
Money.
all
So,
day, every day. Like but it's cool. You need money to run the buildings and do other stuff. But like you said, that's why I say, um, you know, like everybody makes their own choice. It's all good. Just don't. I don't like how they push it. You know, one way or the other. Because again, if you want to be a Muslim, that's cool. If you, all of whatever you want to do, that's cool. Believe whatever you believe. If if somebody said this paper, or if they put a little rock in the corner, they drew a face on, it, and it was like, you know, that's my religion. As long as it makes you don't go out doing other stuff to other people, it's cool. The moment you start telling other people that if they don't do this and this, or they have to do this and this in order to get something out of it, that's when I think that line gets it's blurred. It turns into something else. And like I said, it's kind of what those churches did, where they can take something that's whole and nice and make it ugly, like really, really, really quick, just on some BS. But then, like, take before we wrap up, we'll come back next time. Like we were talking about, I think, like the U.S. I'll just list the top 5 countries that we give to other people, right? So U.S. gives Ethiopia $1.3 billion a year. Jordan gets Ethiopia gets $1.13 billion a year. Jordan gets $1.03 billion. Afghanistan gets $860 million. Sudan gets $821 million. Congo gets $814 million. I just stopped. That's the top 5. So that means every year the United States government gives, what's that? $4.5 billion. And this is just 5. I ain't even go down the list. The top 5 countries get almost $5 billion a year in what they call aid, meaning they'll buy military equipment, sometimes just cash. But in the country we live in today, like you drive down, you go out your house right now, circle a 10-mile radius. Tell me how many homeless people you have, how many people living in poverty, how many people don't have anything to eat, et cetera, et cetera. And we're sending all this money somewhere else. That says it makes absolutely no sense.
like it's like
Like
on the same run, like
zero.
you would think that you would take care of your own, then send like the rest out. Like like I said, if it was here and like all of our roads were perfect, and then they're like, all right, like with this excess, we're gonna go help Jordan. I'm like, cool, like by all means, like said, like I don't have a problem with them sending the money. It's just like you have to look. I feel like you should look in before you look out. Like
Right.
fix the road. Like I don't think it's. I don't know. Like I kind of.
Clean
It
up your
sucks.
own house.
like yeah, he lost faith in a lot of stuff for the government, but it's like you would think like, all right, we should, I don't know, just like you should fix this stuff over here before you fix stuff over there. Like yeah, like and like the whole debate, the thing that I don't like about it, like every time I hear about it, because like homelessness talked about a lot in California, like we have like an area in San Francisco that's right next to like the new Warrior Stadium that has become an issue where like when there's not Warriors game on, like that street is like flooded with people's that like don't have nowhere else to go. But then when the Warriors come out, they kick everybody out, blah 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 blah, and it's like it's oh that's messed up. You can't just kick them out. They have nowhere to go. Where are you gonna put them? And then like the whole argument is like, oh, we don't know what to do. Like if we build them a house, they won't leave. But if we don't give them a home, they'll die on the street. And it's like, well, like where there's no middleman, there's nothing to like. We don't know what to do after we build a house. Like, is there like a limit that we should have to keep them here? And it's like, oh, we don't want to have to supply food for them and like all this other stuff. And it's like, I just feel like there's enough money to go around where you could think of something instead of doing nothing. Like for all these years, like there's something you could do. It may not work, but it may work. Like you don't like. I feel like there's a lot of stuff that you could try as an alternative, other than like every year, like oh homelessness, we need to fix that issue, and it's like okay, like you hear things about it, but I feel like they spend more money doing stuff to like they spend more money like building benches with like spikes on them that you can't lay across it than building like a building. Like I don't know. Like I feel like there's better ways to go about it than how they go about stuff. Like
Look, even in the small town I live in now, it was funny because I just heard them yesterday. There's a huge building here, right? It used to be an old army hospital. It's abandoned, right? And they were saying a lot of the homeless people like break in there so they have somewhere to live. Like this thing probably has 5, 6, 7, 800 rooms. I mean, it's massive, right? So they're gonna pay a company to come do security just so people are out, you know. So even taking a place like that, and I said, you know, the money that you're gonna spend hiring somebody to guard it, which that means you're gonna pay a contract the company a lot of money, you know, millions of dollars just to have somebody sit there and make sure nobody comes in. So if I give you money, we use the 90%. Somebody's sticking in their pocket. How easy would it be to take that same money, go in there, clean the building up a little bit, some water was already paying for it. Just house the people in there. They don't leave. At least they're not on the street. You're paying for it anyway. You spend more money, put them in jail, all these other things than just taking care of these people. I don't agree with people not working, being homeless, but you know, I don't know the circumstances. Like I don't know what happened.
right.
But like you said, we waste more stuff. Like just think all the food these restaurants throw away. Even if at the end of the night you say, hey, this restaurant is gonna take this food and throw in the dumpster. There's the policy. Taco Bell, all the fast food restaurants. At the end of the day, they have to throw all the food out. Even if you just come by and say, give me all this food, I'm gonna take it over here and feed the homeless people. Period. Like easy. Like so you can feed them. You can have there's 1,000 ways to do it.
Yeah, and then
in
California actually they like that's one thing I don't like also is like because in California recently they passed like a little bill saying that there are certain restaurants that can't do that no more. Like they can't just throw away that food. But the issue is people are complaining about like like our taxes are gonna go up. What are we gonna do about that? Blah 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 this and that. And I'm just like, you know what? Like if I'm gonna pay for taxes and I know that the money's gonna go to go feed some homeless person, I'm okay with doing the taxes. Like if you're telling me like, oh, like those restaurants are gonna throw away the like, cause like same thing, like, cause all the time I think about this all the time. Like, what is it, Golden Corral, Hometown Buffet, like all these buffet places. Like, you're telling me at the end of the day, none of that stuff gets reused and it gets thrown away. After you made your money, what is the harm of giving it to people? Like, and like I understand, like, cause like I hear all the time, like, oh, they choose to be homeless, or like they're doing this, they're doing that, and it's like, dude, I feel like no one's really choosing to be homeless, and if they are, like, there's something like mentally that they may be having issues with, like why not help that person to make? Because I feel like I don't know, like you just my thing is if I was mayor, if I was town, like I have homeless people, I have a building that's empty, I will help those people not become homeless because that's one less issue that I have to worry about. If it's like we have 500 homeless people and if I could get 500, if I could get 200 to get jobs, that's way more than like we had before. Now,
But
like
the crazy
that's
part is, like you said, even if you're the mayor or if you do that program, and some people say, oh, they don't have jobs. Yes, they do. Because if I put them in, like if you house them and you feed them, I guarantee you, if you say, all right, I'm housing and feeding you, so there's going to be a bus that's going to pull up here every day in the morning, get on this bus, and the bus is going to take people out to different areas, and you might do stuff like, let's pick up the trash, or there might be some abandoned buildings. We have some lawnmowers. You know what I mean? Like you can put the people to work to do something. Like you can clean up your city, you can pick up trash, you can paint over graffiti. Like there's 1,000 things you can do for the people who, even though they don't quote unquote have a job, you can put them to work because you're housing them and you feed them. It's just like being in the military. If I live here, I have to contribute. So either I go out and get my own job, or I get on this bus every morning, and whatever the bus does, I have to do.
Mhm.
And that would, to me, it solves the problem. It's not like, everybody's always worried about people just sitting doing nothing. You know, give them something to do.
Mhm. Like I like that. I
Like
like
this,
that because like you give them, like you said, you give them a spot, you give them some stuff to do. They're contributing to something. Like I said, like that's like you said, like if you're in a city and you're like, oh, we have a homeless problem in the city. Like I guarantee you have a litter. I guarantee you have a graffiti. I guarantee you have these problems too. Like you could kill two birds with one stone, and then like because all the time I always hear about like people with that is like, oh, then it becomes like the prison system. I'm like, yeah, but at the same time, like if they don't get on those buses, like or if they're doing like if they're like picking up trash for like 3 weeks and they're like, I don't want to do this. Like I'd rather go do something else. And it's like, okay, like this is what you can do as of right now. But if you want to go get another job somewhere else that will pay you more or do whatever like that, like I said, it's America. It's not like it's a closed caste system. Like, go do it. Like you don't want to go pick your trash somewhere, go work at McDonald's. Like you don't want to go work at McDonald's, like go work at Walmart, go work at Target, go find something else to do. But like
right?
giving you a place to live, you're cleaning up the city, like you're making the city better. And like you said, like it's not like the building they're not using it for nothing. Like they're waiting for someone else to buy it to make money. And it's like you could turn this into like a little revenue source for you. But and then my biggest thing with it is like I don't understand why the government doesn't like make jobs for homeless people. And I say that because like as soon as you make them work, because as soon as or you don't make them work, but you give them a job, because as soon as they start getting a job, you could take the money back from taxes. Like technically, if you're being a government and like as big as bad as you are, like you give these people a job so that these people can then now work. These people who are now working are now paying taxes. These taxes that you're getting are still more inventory for you. So it's like at the end of the day, like the government's hurting themselves because y'all can make everybody pay taxes. Like that's one of the things that you have to pay taxes. You have a job, you have to pay taxes on it. So it's like you give these people a job, they pay taxes, you get the money out of it. And like you like it's not like that's another thing I hate. It's not like the government doesn't get the money back anyway. Like this stimulus, you give these stimulus to people, what are you doing? You taxing it right back. Like when I did the file for like taxes the other day, like I was trying to cheat and I didn't claim one of the tax claims. They're like, oh no, we gave it to you.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, so you guys know you guys gave me the money. So like y'all know y'all get the money back. Like why don't you all just like I said, give everyone a job, make everyone pay taxes? Because at the end of the day, like that's what everyone has to do. Like whether the job is
You
what they
know
get
why
to
they
pick.
won't do that? But
Like,
that sounds like socialism. It sounds like socialism, and they don't like that. Say socialist, and people like
yeah,
it's like this weird thing that
I
happens,
think
but
communism
it's
with
what it is.
the prison reform for homeless people.
It's what
Like,
it is.
but I don't know. Like
You know, oh,
It's just a lot.
It's what it is.
Yeah.
Right. But the critical critics are in effect.
Mhm.
We're gonna have to pick up this conversation on our next round.
All right.
So
We did a
we'll be
good
out.
hour 15. What we did today. Pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Went through most.
We can do a couple of these during the week for sure.
Yeah. All right.
All right, my
So,
people. I'll holler at y'all till next time.
Yeah.
All right, deuces.
Deuces. Let me see how do I close this? End stream.